Hello, everybody. Let's see how this looks. This little artist, an art history primer. Ooh, very colorful. This little artist, an art history primer by Joan Holab and Daniel Rode. Painting, shaping, making art with creative joy, hands, and heart. The little artists have great big imaginations. Michelangelo. Some people say Michelangelo. Michelangelo. This little artist had Italy impressed. An architect, painter, and a poet. He liked making sculptures the best. Michelangelo is famous for painting on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel and for his David and Pieta sculptures. There he is in his art studio. And this little artist chose to portray moms and their kids at home and at play. Mary Cassatt painted tender, loving memories in the everyday lives of women and children, which was unusual subject for the late 1800s. One of my favorites. This little artist painted pictures of his face, a starry, starry night, and sunflowers in a vase. Vincent van Gogh applied thick paint with wild brushstrokes to show his feelings. This little artist made blue art for a while and he switched to rosy colors and then he painted in Cubist style. Pablo Picasso and George Braque began the Cubism art movement, showing objects broken into angled shapes. So that's a fun project. You make a face with only straight lines and straight angles, very abstract. This little artist built a toy circus from springs, cranks, balloons, buttons, and other small things. Alexander Calder made a hanging metal sculpture and wire sculptures that he called mobiles or kinetic art because they can move. I love Calder's artwork. Maybe we can watch the circus where he plays with all the little metal creatures that he makes, sculptures that he makes. Okay, this little artist liked attention and fun. His melting clocks and wild mustaches startled everyone. And here we've got Salvador Dali was a surrealist. Objects in his art often look strange or melted. Look at that silly mustache. I actually got to see his artwork. It was beautiful. This little artist painted her life story with symbols of Mexico to celebrate her glory. Frida Kahlo was often ill in bed, where she would paint with special easel. She made 55 pictures of herself called self-portraits. Self-portrait is always a great idea to look at yourself and draw yourself what you think you look like. You can be abstract or realistic. And if you've ever seen the movie Coco, I just finished watching it again last night, and Frida Kahlo is in the movie Coco also. Of course, a cartoon of her. This little artist used objects like soup cans to make pop art paintings that delighted his fans. This is super famous. You've probably seen something like this. Andy Warhol began as a shy advertising artist. He became a superstar with so many famous friends. So when you see one image that is in different colors, abstract like this, and they multiply it by 4, that is an Andy Warhol. It's influenced by Andy Warhol. And you see it on a lot of filters that come with like an iPad or an iPhone or a Samsung, any Android. So look for those. Okay. This little artist was a great poet too. He mixed words with doodles as he painted and drew. Okay, now, this one's hard to say. Jean-Michel Basquiat used ideas from pop culture, street life, and his Haitian and Puerto Rican heritage in his artwork. Basquiat. Basquiat. Oof, that one's hard. I had to look that up on Google and practice it today. Crayons, paper, paint, or clay. What will you make with your art today? There, we've got some more artists we might talk more about later this year. Oh, I love Faith Ringgold. There's Faith Ringgold. She did Tar Beach. You might be familiar with that book. Keith Haring is one of my favorites. A lot of his t-shirts are popular right now at Target. It's pop art. All right, so there's a whole bunch of famous artists that we will learn some more about. Little artists have great big imaginations. There they are. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about some artists that are famous artists. And you tend to like a certain artist, and then you kind of study their work, and they might influence your work. Like I said, I really like Frida Kahlo, Vincent van Gogh. It's hard not to like his work. So as you get older, you will decide how to understand art worlds. And the more you look at art, the more you get your creative brain flowing. And then you can come up with your own ideas that might be inspired by somebody else. So goodbye for now, and we will see you soon.